All right, hi everyone. Olivia Reiner here with Ryan Wood at Soldier Field, where the Packers just notched their first victory of the regular season, the first victory of the Matt LaFleur era in the regular season. Ryan, 10-3 win. None of us predicted this.
No.
None of us saw this coming.
No.
What made the difference in the Packers' win tonight?
That the Bears defense was incredible and still the second best defense on the field, because the Packers defense was the best defense on the field. The Packers defense went into Soldier Field on the home turf of last year's undisputed best defense in the NFL and outplayed that defense. Now, let's be a little fair. The strength of schedule, the level of competition was a little different, because all they're going to be talking about in Chicago is how terrible Mitch Trubisky was, and that's rightfully so, because he was awful. I mean, just awful. I mean, I kind of, the last time I left Soldier Field a year ago, I left thinking, boy, imagine if this Bears team had drafted Pat Mahomes, and I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Packers very fortunate. The NFC North is very fortunate that didn't happen. Mitch Trubisky was bad, but this Packers defense is legit. This Packers defense had a speed on all levels that I don't know the last time we saw that. I don't know if we have seen that in recent memory. Let's put it this way. Aaron Rodgers, the thing he said to Matt LaFleur after the game is that I'll be better. That's what he said. I'll be better. Aaron Rodgers, not a great debut in this offense. He knew it. If you would have thought that going in, that the thing that Aaron Rodgers would say to Matt LaFleur after tonight's game was I'll be better, you would have thought it would have been an ugly night, and instead the Packers are 1-0. A really incredible win.
Absolutely, guys. If you're just joining us, welcome. We are here to take some of your questions over on Facebook. So if you're there, hello, welcome. Apologies, it's a little bit noisy behind us.
Noisy.
But hopefully you can hear us very well. Brian points out this was a game about the defense. Holy cow. Kevin King spoke in the locker room earlier this week saying that they wanted to be the best defense in the division, and I mean, they certainly made their case tonight for it.
It's one game, but, I mean, if you watch tonight, where's the hole in this defense? Where's this defense bad? There is none. I mean, they're good up front. They're good on the perimeter with their corners. Adrian Amos makes the game-clinching interception, especially with, hey, you know what's part of defense? Punting. J.K. Scott, he gets a game ball. That was an incredible 63-yarder that he had to pin the Bears deep late. Blake Martinez is the quarterback of this defense, led the team in tackles again. Where's this defense bad? There's no holes, and it's remarkable because I feel like all we've seen from this Packers defense for years now is holes everywhere. I mean, they're easy to find. It's hard to find the hole in this Packers defense. It was that good tonight.
And a huge highlight of this Packers defense was the free agent signings.
Yeah.
Preston Smith, a sack and a half. Zadarius Smith, I believe, also had a sack. Adrian Amos also showing up on the stat sheet. I mean, all over the place.
The third down, too, with him and Kenny Clark in the first half. Third and short, and they dropped Cordell Patterson for a 2-yard loss. So not just the interception. I mean, yeah, those three guys, they were huge. They were difference makers, and that's why you go and sign free agents to do exactly what they did. So Brian Gutekunst has got to be extremely happy with himself right now because his offseason work, it showed up in week one.
Yes, absolutely. Guys, so we made predictions. Listen, predictions will be predictions.
Are they talking junk?
They are. There's some junk talkers, but
You didn't think that, all right, listen. You didn't think that Aaron Rodgers would go to Matt LaFleur after the game, say, I promise I'll be better, and that his team would be 1-0 either. You didn't see it coming either. No one saw this defense being this good. Maybe it's not surprising that the Packers won because, look, I picked the Packers to win the division for a reason. Mitch Trubisky's not very good, and he hasn't been good, and he's still not good. And as long as he's not good, Aaron Rodgers can make some plays, and that's the difference is really you had two really good defenses on the field, and you had a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that went to his head coach and said, I'll be better, but he made enough plays to actually get a win. The other quarterback did not.
So Patrick brings up a point about perhaps maybe the only hole. I'm sure if we looked a little bit closer, we could find more. But looking at the only hole in the defense, Tony Brown didn't have the greatest night ever, and he points that out. Along this sideline here on two different deep balls, Tony Brown was the one in coverage, and the Bears were able to convert. So it was especially those plays stood out as plays that were not super great.
Yeah, it wasn't a perfect night, but I mean,
sure. Okay, so
it wasn't a perfect night. Congratulations, You're correct. It was pretty close to that.
So Aaron Jones, Jason wants to know if Aaron Jones is injured. He was sidelined momentarily during the game toward the end. I'm not exactly sure what happened on the
I don't
play.
either, because he had like 3 straight carries and it was taken out. It could have been fatigue. I did not. I was in Matt LaFleur. You were too. We were in Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers after the game. So was not in the locker room.
I was not in Matt LaFleur.
Just your camera.
No, Aaron. I was in on Aaron. I was not in on Matt. I was in the locker room during Matt.
Gotcha.
So I missed out on that.
I didn't talk to Aaron Jones after the game, so I don't know. Could have been fatigue. I'm not sure. But bottom line, they got to get that run game going.
Oh yeah.
That run game was. I mean, and part of that is they're playing in Chicago in what is a very hostile environment. Look, I've been to plenty of games in this stadium where there's a lot of green and yellow. There wasn't a lot of green and yellow tonight. This was a very heavy Bears partisan crowd, defending NFC North champs. This city was ready to celebrate that, and the Packers took it away. It was a hostile environment, so you can't take that away. They're not playing this Bears defensive front every week, especially not on the road in a night game. But this offense has got to get better. The run game's got to get better. Probably I tweeted this after the game. Probably the best thing for this Packers team is that this defense showed that it's good enough to carry the way a little bit until the offense comes around. It's going to take time to gel.
Absolutely. Some of you are asking about Rashawn Gary in the comments, asking how many snaps he had in the game.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was not out there very much.
No, Darnell Savage Jr. was a much bigger part of this game if you're looking at the 2 rookies. I don't know about snap count. We'll see tomorrow what that was. But, I mean, part of that, too, is that the Smiths were pretty good.
They were all right.
They were okay.
Speaking of the Smiths, so in the locker room today, just now, literally just now, not just today, tonight, the Smiths addressed the media at their stalls together. So typically in the locker room, they go one at a time, but they went together, which, they share a last name and they shared media availability today as well.
And they shared a lot of pressure on Mitch Trubisky tonight. As much as Mitch Trubisky was bad, the Bears didn't help him out very much offensively either. I mean, it wasn't all on Mitch Trubisky, the offense as a whole. But you know what? That's what happens when you play a good defense. And guess what? The Packers actually have a good defense. And Aaron Rodgers said it himself after the game. One, he said it had been a long time since he'd seen a defensive performance like that. But 2, he said they showed the rest of the league they're not just an offensive football team anymore. They've got a defense. I mean, this is kind of new in Green Bay. It's been a while, and it's a new reality.
So we spoke about Rashawn Gary's snaps. I want to bring up Mercedes Lewis's snaps. I don't know the exact numbers, but that guy was out there.
He was.
He was being used a lot, and not only just as a blocker, but also as a receiver. I believe he had 2 receptions to finish on the night. And I went back and looked at his stats last season. He had 3 receptions all season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the max was 1 per game in 3 games.
So, I mean, in the postgame presser, it was almost more efficient to ask, what did you like about the offense? Because there was very little. There was a way longer list of things not to like about this offense in this debut. One of the things has got to be the tight ends, because all 3 of them had their moments. Jimmy Graham caught a touchdown. Mercedes Lewis equaled last year's catch total. And then Robert Tonyan had a pretty big play too. So all 3 of them had their moments tonight, and it's very clear. We talked a lot like this Packers offense is going to use a fullback. You saw that tonight. They're going to use their tight ends too, and they've got some that can make some plays.
And Jimmy Graham had to hurdle.
He did hurdle
as well. You saw some big athleticism from a guy who
former
really
basketball player, had some hops.
Had a tough season last year, and Aaron Rodgers acknowledged that last season was not good to Jimmy Graham. But this was a big game for him to turn around. I would assert, and it's probably not a very bold assertion, that tonight was Jimmy Graham's best game as a Green Bay Packer.
Well, let's put it this way. Mercedes Lewis equaled last year's catch total. Jimmy Graham got half of last year's touchdown total. He had 2 touchdowns last year.
All right.
He got 1 tonight. That's half.
Good math, guys. Love it.
That's never been said about me before either.
Ivan says, J.K. Scott, MVP of the game.
Yeah.
I would agree, yes. Absolutely.
Well, I would just say defense in general, and a punter is part of the defense. So the defense in general And that 63-yard punt was tremendous, but I think J.K. Scott, I don't know how many times he punted tonight, but there was maybe one that he'd want back, and every other one was on point. So it was a pretty good night for him.
Very impressive. Let's see what we got. You guys.
Another good Gutekunst thing, too, because that's why you draft a punter in the 5th round, for those kind of punts.
Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, Peter is in the Czech Republic. Good morning. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes. Let's see what we got. There's so many of you here. Matthew wants to know how Geronimo Allison did in the game tonight. He was pretty quiet, I thought.
Everyone on offense was quiet.
Yeah, it was not.
Except for the tight ends, kind of.
Even how did Devontae Adams end up doing against the Bears?
He had
secondary?
4 catches or something, 6 catches, targeted 8 times. Aaron Rodgers said that they had a really good plan on Devontae Adams, which is basically a lot of Kyle Fuller and a lot of shading to his side on the back end. That was their game plan, take Devontae Adams out of the game, not surprisingly, and they did. I mean, he really was taken out of the game.
Soli is questioning whether or not a punter is part of the defense, but
It is.
Special teams.
A punter directly affects the defense, as you saw tonight. It sets an offense back, backs them up, it flips the field. Yes, it's
all right,
directly
Dan.
linked.
I'm cutting you off. Enough. Dan wants to know. Dan wants to know if we think that Elton Jenkins might start in place of Lane Taylor next week. What did you think of Lane Taylor's performance at left guard, and do you think that it would warrant us shaking up?
I'd have to go on. I hate this answer one. I'd have to go back and look on the film to really see. This Packers offensive line, the interior, was dominated by the Chicago Bears defensive front. No question. With that said, the Chicago Bears defensive front is a top 3 defensive front in the league, so it dominates most offensive lines it sees. If I had to guess, they're not going to make any rash decisions based off of struggling against that defensive front, because that defensive front is really, really good. So, especially in this environment, you got the crowd noise to deal with. It's tough. Not to make any excuses. They were dominated. The Packers offensive line, not a good night tonight. But it's not exactly surprising.
Jim wants to know if B.J. Goodson played tonight. He did.
Special teams.
Yeah, he did.
He was active.
There was a few times that he would run out onto the field on defense, and then he'd get brought back. Is there a reason for that? Is that just to trip the offense up a little bit?
No,
I don't know.
Probably some miscommunication, some confusion there.
How do you miscommunicate that? The guy hasn't practiced with the Packers.
You'd be surprised.
I don't know. Hey, you know what? Giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he could have held his own out there, but the Packers defense was pretty good.
No, he was. He gives special teams. It was surprising. The big surprise from the inactives was Alex Light not being inactive. Packers very fortunate, as much as they did struggle on offensive line, that they kept their tackles throughout the game, because I don't know who the backup tackle was tonight. That would have been Harry.
Billy Turner, perhaps.
Probably, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
What? I'm a little.
They're good that they didn't have to figure it out.
I am confused about Alex Light, because he was listed on the injury report as being a full participant in the last practice. So I'm curious to know why he was held out.
It was bizarre.
Yeah, and I wonder if we'll get any more insight into that. Maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't something to ask tonight, but maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, tune in tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some updates for you on Alex Light. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, everyone talking about the defense. Joel wants to know about Josh Jackson.
We are getting grassed right now.
Yes, we are. All right, can you
Very
tell?
grassed. Yeah, grass is everywhere.
Just whipping it around.
It's lovely.
So Josh Jackson, how many? I didn't see him out there very much at all.
Not much. No.
Yeah.
They went with Tony Brown. We'll see if that continues.
Yes. Let's see. Mark points out that there were no injuries tonight.
Not that we know of.
Not that we know of, yeah.
Not
No,
that we know
Marquez Valdez-Scantling left the game early with cramps, but
it's not an injury.
I don't think it was all that serious. So he was fine talking in the locker room after the game. Let's see what else we got.
He had a good night, too. That was, I think, the 5th time in Marquez Valdez-Scantling's career that he's had a catch in a game of at least 40 yards, which it's not bad, considering this is the first game of his second year. I mean, if you're wondering who's the deep threat on this team, it's him. I mean, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a deep threat. He's got that size, and he's quick, fast, good straight line speed. We've seen that a lot now.
Trevor Davis got some time in at receiver as well later in the game. What did you make of his performance tonight?
Aaron Rodgers said something very interesting about Trevor Davis after the game tonight. He said, that Trevor Davis has obviously teased the Packers in the past. He struggled staying healthy. When he stayed healthy, he's been inconsistent. There's been some times when you've seen those flashes and other times when you haven't. He had a tremendous camp. More injuries, had the stinger. But when Trevor Davis was healthy and on the field, he was really good. And Aaron Rodgers said that he thinks Trevor Davis turned the corner. He showed up tonight, big play, and it kind of did look like Trevor Davis might have turned the corner. Now he's got to stay healthy, but it was pretty clear he was never in danger of not making the team. And you saw tonight he's going to be part of the offense and not just a return man. So it'll be interesting to see if he stays on that level. But Aaron Rodgers seems to think that he will.
Yeah, and as we've been saying the entire training camp, health is going to be key when it comes to Trevor Davis. And if he can stay with this team and stay healthy, then it could be big for him. And perhaps we could see a breakout season, not just as a return guy, but also as a receiver in this offense. Let's see what we got. Where was Touchdown Jesus, asks Patrick. Jake Kumaro had special team snaps. I don't know if he lined up at all as a receiver tonight.
I, for one, was not surprised by that. He's not a top 3 receiver.
Right.
He's number 4. They go with a lot of 11 personnel, which means 3 receivers. When you have 3 receivers, your 4th receiver's not on the field much. So that's where he was, the sideline, special teams.
Yes. Let's see. Yeah. There's so many of you in here. Okay, so Jeff points out that he didn't see a second inside linebacker alongside Blake Martinez tonight, and instead we saw Raven Green.
Yeah, you did see a second inside linebacker. He was just wearing a weird number, 24. Raven Green was, and I think when we talked about, we weren't surprised that happened. We thought that would happen with, Terracone, David Montgomery, some pretty good backs out of the backfield. Raven Green was an inside linebacker tonight. He's probably going to be an inside linebacker for a while, especially until Orton Burks gets back. You're going to see a lot of Raven Green in the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that was something that we anticipated going into this because we did see some of that in practice. Yes. Okay, I want to read this quote because I think it was it's a bold statement. So, Tramon Williams in the locker room today. I was not there for it. I didn't hear him say it, but this is apparently what he said. He says, we wanted to make Mitch play quarterback. We knew they had a lot of weapons. We knew they were dangerous. We knew all of those things. But we knew if we could make Mitch play quarterback that we'd have a chance. That is a pretty strong statement about
I'm
the
telling
Bears
you, all they're
quarterback.
going to be talking about here in Chicago is, holy cow, Mitch Trubisky, 3rd year now, still not getting it. And the offense didn't really help him much, but that's exactly what they did. Because Mitch Trubisky, what is he? He's an athlete. He's a really athletic guy. He can be elusive. You got to spy him. He can make plays with his legs. Dude can't throw. He can't throw consistently. And I've never seen him throw consistently, and he didn't throw consistently tonight. Mm-hmm. That shadow of Pat Mahomes is going to be hanging over this organization for a long time.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I'm going to take one more question here. It's been a pretty wild night. I don't think we all saw this coming necessarily. Patrick wants to know, where was the roughing the passer call on Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which play?
I'm not really entirely sure what you're talking about. Did I miss it? I had to go down
Not
early.
called is what it
Yeah,
was.
I guess
It was not called.
I don't remember. If you could let us know, that'd be cool. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone seems Felipe wants to know about Darnell Savage and how he played.
Dude's fast.
He looked really fast out there.
He can run.
There was one drive on when they were on defense that I felt like he had like three tackles or something. It was very impressive.
You don't crown a rookie after one game. I remember Josh Jones first time seeing it. Now difference here, it was OTAs in shorts, not even pads. First time I saw Josh Jones, that's exactly what I wide-eyed, and he can run. Now this was a game, so obviously a lot different. But you don't crown anyone after one game. He's pretty athletic, though. He's pretty quick, and that's what it's literally what he was brought here. He was drafted here because of that speed and that coverage ability, and he's a rangy guy. For that range, he showed that tonight.
All right, you guys, you've seen lots of strange things behind us. You've seen us get covered by grass. We are definitely...
Yeah, my allergies are like, whoa.
Yeah, Ryan's his nose is gonna explode, but that's okay. Hopefully you enjoyed hanging out with us, guys. Make sure you're tuning into PackersNews.com for all the coverage after the game. We're gonna have lots of stories up on the website tonight. We'll have lots of video up. I'm sure I'm gonna find a great soundbite from Za'Darius and Preston Smith and their joint press conference to throw up over on PackersNews.com, so make sure you check it out. Ryan, any parting words for our lovely
I gotta go
viewers?
right.
All right, so let's